All right. So let's get started, guys. I've got here's what we want to talk about. Really what we want to do is we want to answer your guys' questions. So who wants to be the first brave person to come on and ask some questions to some of the top mentors in the company here?
I will. I'm Patrick McCool. Hey, I've been watching your trainings and on becoming the top recruiter and number one salesperson on the planet. When you call to recruit somebody, you're talking about you're on the phone. How do you start that conversation, and what does it sound like?
Great question, Pat. So it depends if you're talking, and I'll give you both, but it depends if you're talking to people that you know or you're talking to people that you don't know, right? If I'm calling, and by the way, I do have, for more reference, I have a it's called Recruiting Mastery. And have you seen the Recruiting Mastery yet?
I have not.
Okay, so I'm going to put this resource for you, but I'm going to still answer your question. If you go to team,
and mine is mostly warm market.
Okay, good, perfect. If you go to teamfreedomtraining.net and create a free account, teamfreedomtraining.net. Somebody put it in the chat, please. Teamfreedomtraining.net is a training academy that I created. And if you go there to the first module, okay, it is all the basic training, fast start training, how to contact your warm market. In the fast start training, I talk a lot about the invite. But if you go to the second module, it is all of the recruiting trainings. Recruiting Mastery is in there. Recruiting Mastery was a live event that I did at a Super Saturday. There was like 100 people there, and it was at a Super Saturday, and I went through script after script after script for warm market and cold market. So for example, what we want to do when it comes to recruiting, Pat, is you want to keep it simple. First of all, time block, right? Time block. Make your list and time block. So now that I got my list, let me close this here. Now, once I got my list, the list has to be strong. If you have a weak list, meaning 10 to 20 people, when a couple of people say they're not interested, it messes with you mentally. Because you're thinking, I got 10 people on my list, 3 people already said no, that's 30% of my list. And it will affect your next phone calls. However, if you have a list of 100 people plus 3, 4, 5, 10 people that said no in a row, let's say, for example, it's not going to affect you mentally. There's a big thing in being affected mentally that comes into this. The mindset is, hey, man, I'm just like a deck of cards. I'm going to tell you what I say. I'm just building up for it, right? Like a deck of cards has 4 aces. 52 cards has 4 aces. I'm looking for the 4 aces. I don't care about the jokers. I don't care about the jacks. I don't care about the twos. I care for the aces. So I know not everybody's going to be interested, right? So in that train, I get into a bunch of scripts. But for example, one of the scripts is, I'll say, let's say you and I, Pat, are friends, right?
Okay.
I could have a very simple, direct approach, which would be, after I call you and I get the small talk out the way, right? I say, hey, listen, after I ask how the family's doing, great. Listen, Pat, the reason why I'm calling you, brother, is this. I actually just got started in the solar industry, and our company is expanding nationwide. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever considered doing something, making some additional money if it didn't interfere with what you're currently doing? Are you open to looking at some information? My goal when I'm talking to you is to find out if you're open to looking at some information. And there's 2 tools that I send. So let's say it's more of a direct approach. You're a business guy. I'm a business guy. I give you a call. Hey, Pat, how's it going? Do you have a good Father's Day? Blah, blah, blah. Yes. Great. Pat, do you have a couple of minutes for a business conversation, for a business call? With business people, it is key. That is a key line, because a lot of business people, they're busy, right? And me personally, if you call me and I haven't talked to you in a while, and you're all of a sudden talking about how's the family, how's the kids, and blah, 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 especially if you're calling me during business time, it's kind of like chit chat. I know that you're probably calling about business, get down to the point. So one thing that I have found that works for me is, hey, Pat, do you have a couple of minutes for a business call? See, I'm very direct to the point, right? Now, this is not with everybody, right? If the guy I'm talking to is not a business person, then I may not do that, right? So I have a different approach. But anyways, if he does that, And he says, yes, I do. One approach that you could use is, well, Pat, listen, out of curiosity, what are you doing today at 8 p.m. Eastern that's more important than learning how to make an extra $100,000 per year from home from your existing clientele? Let's pretend you're a realtor, right? Or an insurance agent or something like that. What are you doing today at 8 p.m. Eastern that's more important than learning how to make an extra $50,000 to $100,000 per year from home? Well, what's it all about? Look, brother, I actually just started my solar brokerage, and we actually have a very special event going on via Zoom today. And a lot of people in the industry are actually finding out how they can make, by referring their customers, right, to get solar on their home, an extra $50,000 to $100,000 per year. If you're open to it, I'd love to send you some information. Now, Pat, what if you already have an appointment? Then here's what I do. Fair enough. How about this, Pat? How about I let you know when we have the next one? Does that sound fair enough? Yes. In the meantime, Pat, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video that will explain to you a little bit about our company. Does that sound fair enough? Yes. Then I send, somebody please put the Solar Gold Rush video in the chat. If you go to YouTube and you type in Solar Gold Rush video, you'll find this video. Or here's an easy domain name, solargoldrushvideo.com. It'll take you to the YouTube page, solargoldrushvideo.com. That is a 3-minute video that is designed, it's called a sizzle video. Back in the days, they were sizzle calls. I gave you a phone number with a PIN code, you dialed the number, you put the PIN code in, and some dude was talking for 2 to 3 minutes, piquing your interest. Now, in the day and age of YouTube, you could do it better. Everybody's got YouTube on their phone. So you could send a video that is short. Everybody's got 3 minutes. Pat, you could be having lunch and listen to that video for 3 minutes. And it's a video that talks about power, but I don't mention power because I created the script for that video, right? So if I don't get you to the exposure, then what I do is I get you to watch a sizzle video that will pique your interest. And maybe it's not for you, but if it is, say, hey, JC, I saw that video, 3-minute video. Sounds interesting. How can I get more information? Well, Pat, we could wait till the next event next Monday, or I could send you a full presentation for you to watch it right now. That happens very often. Very often people say, hey, yeah, I'm interested. But see, if I send you a 30, 25-minute video full presentation from the beginning, you may think like, it's 25 minutes. I mean, yeah, I'll see if I come around to it. You might not watch the whole thing, but a 3-minute video, and that 3-minute video piques their interest enough to watch a full presentation or get on to the Monday training. Does that make sense? So that is another approach. Another approach that I teach there is, and you got to get like 2 or 3 different of these scripts that you feel comfortable with, because I give you like 12 there. Another approach is, hey, Pat, let me ask you something, brother. If you knew what you know now, 10 years ago, about, for example, Amazon. 10 years ago, you knew what you know now about Amazon, and you had the opportunity to have invested or gotten involved somehow. Would you have done it? Hypothetical question, right? If 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you knew what you know now about Amazon and had the opportunity to invest or gotten involved, would you have done it? Yes, that's what we know the answer to that question. Great, Pat, I've got something bigger than that, right? And I proceed to invite him to watch a presentation, to get on a live presentation, or to meet me for a coffee and expose the opportunity to him. But you got to do the legwork. You got to make the phone calls, and you've got to get him to watch a presentation. Now, if you're the kind of guy that I think he's not going to get on a video, or he's going to be distracted. And if we're local, you know what I'm going to do? Even if we're not local, I will schedule an appointment to meet with you either in person or via Zoom. Even if you're not a presenter, you can meet with somebody to expose them to the information through a video. Let's say you are local. Hey, why don't we go have a coffee, Pat? And I meet with you to have a coffee, and I show you, for example, I got a 12-minute English presentation on YouTube. 12 minutes. Let me buy you a coffee. Boom. I'm going to play this 12-minute video from one of the top guys in the company. This is what I'm doing. Right? Now, if they saw the 3-minute video first, the likelihood of them signing up, guys, is significantly higher. And whenever you go, anybody that's going to sit down and see a presentation, whether via Zoom, pre-recorded, or in person, should be your expectation to either sign them up or to make them an ambassador. But no matter what, they should do one of the two. There's no excuse. I want you to make this very clear in your mind. There's no excuse to not make them an ambassador, because ambassadors lead to leads. Ambassadors lead to you exposing them more consistently, and they lead to eventually becoming consultants, a lot of them. You should absolutely make them an ambassador. Look, I'm going to give you some advice. I was at an event last week. It was an EXP event. Do you guys know EXP is the real estate equivalent of our company? We copied their model. They've been around since 2008, I believe. One of the number one guys was speaking there. You know how much money that guy was making? $1 million
a month.
a month. So imagine this, $1 million a month, right? So when I'm talking to this guy, well, I'm not talking to him. I'm at the event, and this guy is doing his thing. He's talking. And he says something that is very, very powerful, right? He said, you know, guys, I have an agent that is a great agent. He was closing 50 transactions per year, 50 real estate deals per year. And he told me, I'm going to make a goal to close 80 transactions per year. And I told him, that is a terrible idea. Do you need those extra 30, or can you live and have a good life on 50? So the guy replies, yes, I could live and have a good life with 50 sales. He says, and I would recommend that all that extra effort that you plan to put in for the extra 30 sales a year, that you put it into building your team. Because we, like them, have the business model of leverage. One thing we have that they don't have is a mentor program. I closed 118 mentor deals last year, but the company pays me more in residual override income than 118 deals a year. Do the math. Okay, we're talking about 5-figure weeks just about every week, in override every Friday. Okay, so when he says to him, the reason why is because, listen, you want the long-term gain. The sales is a short-term gain, and we got to do sales. But if you're only focused on sales, you're being transactional. Now, for those of you guys that are new, you got to focus on sales. You got to make money and get your belief up. So by all means, go get your sales, go get your ambassadors, and get your consultants. So I'm not telling you not to focus on sales. But once you got the ball rolling there, you want to start putting some more energy into the building side, is my opinion. Do you have to do that? No. This is not like it's, oh, you have to build. You don't have to build. But I'm answering Pat's question here, so I'm elaborating on this question. And I thought that was very insightful when he said that. And I said, I was sitting down next to my buddy Lewis, and I said to him, isn't that what I talk about all the time? Why increase? For example, I've got about 40 sales roughly for the year. I'm not going to be top mentor this year. I don't want I'll make this very clear. The reason why I'm not going to be top mentor for a third year in a row is because I don't want to be. Top mentor is cool. You know what's cooler? Making top mentor money without selling solar. That's even cooler. But everybody's business is in a different stage. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. But the main thing, Pat, is watch the recruiting mastery. I get into a bunch of these scripts and a bunch of examples.
And I can find that at, do I find that at teamfreedom.net or solargoldrushvideo.com?
No, solargoldrushvideo.com is the 3-minute sizzle video. So that's separate.
Right.
Teamfreedomtraining.net.
Oh, training. Thank you.
Freedomtraining.net. And you could create a free account, and you got all of a bunch of presentations. And listen, it's got the first module is novice module for new people, how to get your first 10 electric bills, fast start training, solar crash course. Then you got, on module 2 is the how to recruit and build, and all of the recruiting videos with the shareable links on there. Then you got more advanced training. You got actual presentations that Jonathan Brunasso and myself did with homeowners of sales that closed. So if you want to see a presentation where you see me and the homeowner and the mentee on the Zoom and the sale closes. Those videos are on there as well.
Wow, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That's amazing.
No
Thank
problem.
you so much.
Any other questions? Somebody asked, by the way, if you guys cannot ask the questions and unmute yourself, you could ask them in the chat. I did see somebody.
I got a question. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Julio.
I just recently switched over from another company to this one, and basically I like how you guys have everything structured in your business model. I like to close more deals. That's basically, I'm liking the door-to-door thing situation going on, but you guys do it virtually as well, and I'm loving that. So I just want to learn, like, how do you close more deals and get more people? That's as simple as possible.
I love it. So I'm replying to somebody. By the way, somebody at Tammy, you're asking for a code or a room block. If you go to powercalendar.com and you go to the convention link, or you could go to powerconvention.com and you could buy your tickets there. And through there, you could click a link that sends you to the website for the hotel, and you could get the hotel pricing, because the hotel rooms there are like $600 a night. They're like $249 or something through Power, because they got a room block. So powerconvention.com. So anyways, Julio. Yes, so we do all of the traditional things in this business, right? We do the door knocking, we do the social media, but we're not a one-trick pony. And one of the keys about Power is that you want to become the mentor that builds a team would be my recommendation. For example, I joined in April 2020, 2 weeks after the pandemic started. I made $60,000 my first year in 2020, right? Which wasn't a lot. But the following year, 2021, my first full year, became the top mentor. I closed 116 mentor deals my first full year as a rookie. How and why? Because as I mentioned earlier, my focus wasn't transactional sales. My focus was introducing other people to this business. And I knew, for example, Jonathan Brunasso, when I joined, he had made $50,000 that month. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. He had 50 people on his team. So in mentor deals and personal deals, he had made about 50 grand. 1 month after I joined, my team grew in about a month to about 30 people, approximately 30 to 40 people. So about 45 days into me being in, he shows me, look, I'm on track to make, if everything closes that I've already got in the pipeline, 150,000 this next month. 150,000. What changed? A team came on board that recruited a whole bunch of people. So Anthony Bonilla, he closed some deals for Anthony Bonilla. He closed some deals for me. He closed some deals for, I wasn't mentor yet, but I knew this is the potential that this business has. And as soon as I become a mentor, I'm going to have the opportunity to make that kind of money as well. Sure enough, my next year, I closed 116 mentor deals, which was 2021. Why and how? Because instead of me going out there, and I started door knocking, instead of me going out there door knocking, once I became a mentor in 11 weeks, which by the way, I have a training in the academy on how I became a mentor, the top mentor, mentor in 11 weeks. I also have a training on how I became top mentor in the company 2 years in a row. But I became a mentor in 11 weeks with no experience through the new homeowner list, right? But I was door knocking new homeowners, and I was recruiting during the day. Here's a tip I'm going to give you. If you're full-time, you should be having 30 conversations daily. At the end of the day, what it comes down is the numbers. Here's what you should be shooting for. You should be shooting for 10 sales on the way to install at any given time. You want to know if you're a baller or not, if you're on your way? If you don't even have a goal of how many sales you should have at any given time, you're never going to get there. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So you got to manage your expectations. You got to have some expectations. You'll write this down. You'll never live a life beyond your wildest expectations if you first don't have some wild expectations. Does that make sense? So to some people, 10 sales on the way to install at any given time is a big number. For me, that number is 70. If I don't have 70 sold deals on the way to install, what the hell? I gotta push the pedal to the metal. How do I get so many leads? I get 2 to 10 leads daily because I recruit people, I expose people to the information. And some of them join. I put them through the training system, and we teach them how to sell, recruit, and connect people to the training. So those people, if I recruit 5 people that end up recruiting 2, that's a 15 people on the team that need 3 50-50 mentor sales, Julio. And if I recruited you, for example, and you're a solar pro, you got to do 1 50-50 sale with me. So usually the pro doesn't get me to sell it. They just get me to sign it. So a lot of these sales, last year, I probably got paid on 15 installs that I didn't even present. I recruited a solar pro who tagged me to close their first solar deal. So the key is recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. The name of the game. You sell to survive. You recruit to retire. Remember that. You sell to survive. You recruit to retire.
That's good. That's really good.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Because what if you get injured? What if you get COVID? What if you break your leg? You can't go hunting, right? Now your income comes to a halt. If I stop selling, I'm still going to make $500,000 a year in override income. Does that make sense? Why? Because I am focused on new blood. Now, some people may look at it like, oh, recruiting. McDonald's recruits. Every university and college recruits. Every NFL team and basketball team recruits. Every job and business recruits. The difference is that in this company, you get paid for recruiting. If you were working for Century 21 and you recruited your brother to come and sell for Century 21, what are they going to give you? They're not going to give you an override. They're going to give you a thank you. Here you get an override. And if you recruit and train others how to sell, recruit, and train, that's the main things that we focus on. And the last thing I'll say on that is this. If you are new, do not, I repeat, do not compare yourself to other people. When I came, I had no solar experience, but I had a lot of sales and recruiting experience. People knew, Anthony Bonet, you very often see him. He say this. He says, whatever JC touches turns to gold. I appreciate the compliment. I failed a lot more than I've succeeded, so that's not the case. But he's seen me knock it out the park over the last 12, 13 years in like 3 different businesses. So when I joined the solar industry, he says, hey, if JC's doing this, he's not doing it to simply take part and make some sales. He's going to do something big, right? Because I have wild expectations, and I would not join a regular solar company. I would not join a regular solar company. Didn't give me the opportunity to make a leverage residual income. That's why I'm here with Powur. That's the right fit for me. Another question in the chat is, do we still reimburse homeowners for their solar payments billed prior to PTO? The answer to that is yes. If you have a customer that got installed, but let's say their solar system isn't approved yet, and they're now getting a solar bill along with a utility bill, well, you could absolutely get the company to reimburse them 100% of the time, unless it's a customer's fault. Sometimes a customer is not around, or their gate is locked, or whatever the case may be, right? It's a customer that's getting in the way, but and most of the time that's not the case. So yes, you could, with a lot of confidence, let the customer know, we're going to reimburse you not for your utility bill payment, but for your solar payment. And does that happen sometimes? Yeah, that happens like 3% of the time, 2-3% of the time. It just comes with the territory, not only for our company, but for other companies as well. Let's see here. Is selling a retrofit Cali automatically switching the homeowner to NEM 3.0? Great question, Robbie. My understanding is this. The short answer is yes. The longer answer is, and this is not 100% confirmed, so don't quote me on this. Again, this is uncharted territories. If they could upgrade their system, as long as it's not more than 20%. If they upgrade their system no more than 20% of what they currently have, they'll stay on NEM 2.0. But if it's more than that, then they will be switched to NEM 3.0. So that is the unofficial answer, is what I've heard, but I haven't confirmed it 100%. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, for Mentor Factory in July, Tammy. So here's the deal. You go to Mentor Factory 2023 for the convention, for the Mentor Factory ticket. Tammy, I think this is your 2nd or 3rd year, right? Definitely 2nd. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Yes. And I have my ticket. Yeah.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, there's going to be some
But I
surprises.
actually have rooms, but then they asked if there was a
Oh,
room
got it.
block
Yeah, yeah.
code. And I said, I
For
don't
the
know.
Embassy Suites. No, we don't have a room block there, but the rates are still good. So just go to the Embassy Suites Downey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've got my rooms. I was just checking to see. Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
JC, I have a question.
Yes.
I met a real estate agent. He has a system. The company where he got the system is no longer in business.
Mhm.
And he wants to know, can he add panels? Do we do that or we don't?
Yes, we do. So you could add panels to an existing system. Yes.
Okay.
So it sucks that he's with a company. This is a good learning lesson. It sucks that he's with a company. It's no longer in business. That's why, Mr.
Mhm.
Customer, we can usually beat any company's price. The only companies that we cannot beat their price is small mom and pop shops that have a 90% likelihood to not be around the next 5 years.
Mhm.
And you will, as you do business, run into some of those companies as well, right? So yes, we could add, I've done this many times. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And those people, by the way, Isabel, are great people to sell to because they already believe,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yes, his system is paid off and he's thinking he needs 8 to 10 panels and is looking into batteries. Now, if we add 8 to 10 panels and he wants to get batteries, would it only be for those panels?
it's a good question. That is a technical question. I'm not 100% sure, but I think
Okay.
I don't know. So I don't want to, but I'll give you that answer. Thank you for that
Okay.
question. Yeah, but
Okay.
that's a good lead. That's a good lead.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And that only
Okay.
8 to 10 panels only requires one battery. On a lease, we can get them that battery for free. So
Mhm.
that's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. I'll help you close that deal if you want.
Yes, please. Okay. Thank you, JC.
No problem. All right. Who else has some questions?
I have a question. First, I got an electric bill, but I just got onto Powur. As far as finding like a tier 3 mentor to, help the client, like what's the best way to go about that? If like you just jumped in and you're meeting a bunch of people, like how do you pick?
Okay, sorry. Ask the question again. I was reading some comments here, and Bill, we're gonna address your comments here shortly. Thank you for that, Bill. Go ahead, Andre.
How do you go about like picking a tier 3 mentor? Is it better like pick like a local person close to the deal, or does it, since we're cloud-based, could you go with like a tier 3 mentor, let's say in another state that you're building a relationship with, jump on a Zoom call? Can you kind of fill me in a little bit more on that just so I can develop it better in my head?
Yes, great question. It's always good to try your best to stick with mentors within your line of leadership. Okay, work with your upline leadership. However, Powur, one of the cool things about Powur is that because sometimes you may have some leadership, and I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying there are occasions that the leadership isn't active or very supportive or very effective, right? I'm sure that's not the case with you, but in cases like that, you could use any mentor. So that's why they have a rating. You also, another thing is in the market that you are working in, I recommend that you attend the market meetings there, right? So you can go to powercalendar.com and find out when the market meeting is for your particular state. And the mentors there are some of the most committed mentors because they're committing to that all the time. As you start to connect to trainings, you could also, because think about it, you could work with a mentor from any state. Now, California, and what is the other state that requires a license? California is one of them. So you can't get a Texas mentor for California unless they have their California license. New York, we're not in New York.
Connecticut.
So Connecticut and California need a license.
I too.
So if you're going to use a mentor there, one of the safest bets is to use a mentor in those states because they require. But let's say you're in Texas, you can use a mentor from anywhere to close a Texas deal. However, you want to make sure that guy or girl has some experience with Texas because it's, a little bit of different rules. That's why I recommend the market meetings as well, because those people and people that have already closed deals in those areas, right? So that would be my recommendation. And a good mentor, brother, let's say somebody tagged me in a market that I'm not familiar with. I'll reach out and say, hey, listen, let me find you somebody that has more experience with that particular market because I don't. right? So it's a long answer to your question. And by the way, Bill, could you address some of these
Thank
questions we
you.
were talking about earlier? No problem.
Sure, JC. The limitation on add-on systems from if they're in NEM1 or NEM2 and you're adding to the system, you cannot increase the system size by more than 10% AC without pushing the entire system into NEM 3.0.
Wow.
So yeah, be very careful about that, because you don't want to take somebody who's got a system they've been going on with NEM1 and getting full credit for their offset and then put them into a NEM3. You obviously never want to do anything that's going to hurt the customer. So
So
in the
Bill,
case,
I have a question for you, Bill.
yes.
Where would the exception be? Right. So in your opinion, where would the exception be? Let's say, for example, that's me. My system is producing 6,000 kilowatt hours, but my family's grown. I've added a pool. I'm now using 13,000 kilowatt hours.
If you design the new system with batteries, you could probably get close to giving the same value to the customer. But you know, this is all speculative. All this stuff that's going on with NEM 3.0 and nobody knows exactly how it's going to work out. It would have to do with the customer's usage of their peak hours, you know, so their 4 to 9 p.m. usage. Let's say they're gone all day and they come home, they use their power a lot during that time, 4 to 9 p.m. and you had sufficient battery backup to be able to offset that with battery storage. It might make a lot of sense, JC, to say, hey, you know, even though you're in NEM1 right now, you're in NEM1, but you're only offsetting 50% of your usage anyway. So let's go to NEM3 with batteries. And here's the potential, you know, you can't give them absolute guarantees, but here's the potential that might save you by virtue of adding solar and batteries to your system. So
Yes.
it's still a little nebulous. You know, you can't be spot on with a actual quote. But that would make sense in your case, as you just described. If somebody was basically doubled their usage, and again, I wouldn't recommend doing it without giving them a battery backup option or a battery offset option.
Oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So, and then as far as, let's say you're in the middle of a design and they you know, originally was a 10 kW system, and turns out that for whatever reason they're not going to be doing X, Y, or Z, and you need to go down to say a 7 kW system. You can't reduce the system size by more than 20%. So it's 10% on the upside in terms of adding panels, and 20% on the downside as far as reducing panels. As I understand it, in the big three. Now this is all referencing the 3 IOUs. So all the little ones, you know, that we have a lot of municipalities in the state that have their own. They long time ago got out of the net energy metering process, the NEM 1 or the NEM 2. Back when in 2015, I think it was, or when they changed over, all the, you know, in my area, there's Lodi, there's Modesto, there's Turlock, they're all irrigation districts, they're all independents, and they got rid of their straight net energy metering policies a long time ago. So it's been that way for a long time.
Awesome. Now,
down where you are, you have Anaheim. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, there's some questions in the chat that I'd like your opinion on as well. Nick is asking, is it better to put more panels than fewer panels? And Nick, I would ask the question, are you referring to California? And I like Bill's, so for California, Bill, I guess the question can also.
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
I am in California and I'm licensed.
Perfect.
So be a little bit more descriptive there, Nick. Are you talking about more of an offset versus it? There's a couple of factors. One is, if you don't do a battery system in your solar design, it's probably never a wise idea to go above 50 or 60% of the customer's annual usage. And again, that's still that there are some factors that are involved there. For example, if the customer uses a lot of PM electricity from that peak time, 4 to 9 p.m., then, and you're not going to do batteries, then you probably wouldn't want to go more than 40 or 50% of the annual usage, because the whole idea is it no longer makes sense to give the utility power. So it used to make all the sense in the world because you got retail value for the power you gave the utility. You know, the grid got to be your battery, so to speak, let's call it the old days. So it didn't matter how much excess you made because you were going to get full value for everything that you pulled back from the grid. Now, when you give the grid I say it like this: when you give the grid $1 worth of power in today's environment, you get back 20 cents. So that doesn't make, if somebody wants to do a deal with me and for every $1 they give me, I only have to give them back 20 cents, I'm all in. But you don't want to do that without a battery. So if you have a battery solution, then it's a question of calculating how much power you can store on site that's in your battery to be able to feed your PM usage. And that's a calculation that, all these companies are trying to give you some sort of an answer. And other than like Energy Toolbase is one of the systems that can do a pretty good job of that. But unless you know exactly what that person is using in the peak times, you can't give them so when you say more panels or less panels, my belief is that when you're pretty close to 100% and you can back up their power to be able to store and feed their PM usage, then you can get a pretty close to 100% offset. You won't get 100% anymore. And I don't think it makes a lot of sense to, for example, oversize the system to 150% or something, because there you're relying, unless you have a lot of batteries, in which case, like 30 or 40 kW of batteries, then you're not going to be able to give the customer the value of what they're buying.
So how many batteries are enough to do that?
It depends. It's all contingent on how they use their power and how much you have to have, because those batteries, if you're using them for energy offset, in other words, forget about the backup power, but you're going to use those batteries to store the excess power that your solar is making. Because of course, when you're making power with solar, it's going to feed your house first, whatever usage is there, and the excess has got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes to batteries, to fill up batteries to be used later, that's all good, valuable power. Okay, if it goes to the grid, it's 20 cents on the dollar. So, so if you design a system that's 150% of their average annual usage, the likelihood is that a fair amount of that power is going to go back to the grid, where you get only 20 cents on the dollar.
I see.
So
thank you.
I'll be happy to talk to you at a later date offline, just explain it. If you have questions and you had a specific example, I'm happy to go over that with you.
I will reach out. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Sorry,
awesome.
JC.
Any other questions? No, it's okay. That's what we're here for, brother. This is you're very qualified to answer these questions, bro. Even more than I am on a lot of these. So, especially on the technical solar side, bro.
JC, I have a quick question. I don't know if we have enough time, but I had a question about just referrals, and just some tips on getting referrals and getting leads that way. I think that's a very effective way to sell. And then I did have a simple question as well of just where to get these recordings, because I've been looking for last week's as well, since I'm pretty new into this, and the mindset was amazing last week.
Yes. The last week's training. So I'm gonna put it here in the chat. You guys want to follow my channel. It's a training channel for all of the trainings that we do. Jessica, please go ahead and put last week's training on here. And that's the channel that you're gonna find everything on. is that channel. Some of the trainings won't go on that channel, but they'll go in the Training Academy. So you want to follow that YouTube channel. We're going to put it here. So the other question that you had was on leads, you said?
Referrals. Just getting leads from referrals and ways to set those up.
So there's a lot of ways, and I would love any other mentor on here to chime in on this after I do. But one of my biggest referral sources is real estate agents. I don't even go after them so much because my network gives me so many mentor deals. That's my forte, it's mentor deals, because I love recruiting, right? And I love teaching to recruit. That automatically feeds you business. But when I barely got started, I built relationships with real estate agents, and I was fortunate that I knew a couple of real estate agents and brokers. And here's a tip I'm going to give you on realtors, especially when it's somebody you build a good relationship with. Instead of just getting them to become your ambassador, if they become your ambassador, especially because it's free, there's that they agree to send you some referrals, but they're going to only send you referrals when it's easy and convenient for them. They're not really going to go out of their way to send you business. So what I did is I got a guy who says, yeah, I'll send you some business. And then a couple weeks went by and he had to send me no business. And I was new. So I was like, man, I need you to send me some business now. I got to close some deals, bro. I didn't say that to him, but that's what I'm thinking. So I called him and I said, Jose, hey, check this out, bro. You mind if I stop by your office? Because I want to have this conversation in person. So I did. I said, how about this, brother? What do you think of this idea? Why don't you just give me a list of names and numbers of people that you sold a home to, and I will do the legwork. I will call them as long as you give me the okay that I'm calling on your behalf, that I could say that we're like your solar division if you're okay with that. He was okay with it. He gave me 5 names and numbers. I called every single one of them. 2 already had solar. 1 said no. 2 I sold. But I got the names and numbers and said, hey, I'm calling on behalf of Jose. My name is JC Rangel. Jose's a gentleman that sold, Jose Perez. Oh, yeah. He's your realtor that sold your house. Yeah. Congratulations, by the way, on your home. Oh, yeah, no problem. How can I help you? Well, he just wanted me to give you a call because I'm actually the manager of his solar division. And what we're doing is we're giving a free solar savings report to any of his customers, along with a Las Vegas trip, just for simply seeing the solar savings report, because you are a valued customer of Jose. And for those of you that may be wondering, smartsolarrep.com is a membership site. You can give unlimited trips to Vegas, to Cancun, and like 20 different places. You get 7 days for free. After that's $37 a month. You can give them to yourself and your family members. I've used this since 2016 with my credit repair business. So long story short, I got 2 out of the 5 closed. One of the ladies ended up giving me 5 leads on her own because I made her an ambassador, right? She just gave me the names and numbers and I called them. So you got to be proactive. And one of the last thing is I teach is this: old school, but it works. I tell my guys, if you're full-time, one of the very good things that you should get in the habit of is calling 30 realtors daily, 30 to 40, 50 realtors daily during the day, and then go do your at night. Remember, your goal should be 30 conversations daily if you're full-time. A lot of people are full-time and they're having 5 conversations, if that, and they say that they're full-time. No, you're not full-time. You're just unemployed. There's a difference, right? So anyways, that would be. Does anybody else want to chime in on this, on getting leads?
Yeah, thanks for that too, JC.
Yeah, no problem. Or any other questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Frankie J. I'd like to ask Bill, is there do we get a lot of installs north of because everything, when we go to the Northern California meetings, I never hear anybody mention anything doing any business, like say in Corning or Reading area, installs in that area. Do we have anybody that's doing installs in that area up there? Because I see that on the calendar that we reached that far. Bill? Hello? Did you hear that question, Bill?
Yeah. You're mute. You're garbled, Bill.
Trying to unmute. I can't. There.
Yeah, you're better now.
No, can you hear me? No.
Yes.
Okay, well, my my little icon says I'm muted, but if you can hear me, they're much further north of Reading. I don't believe so, but Chico up to Reading, we do install up there. I haven't done any installs that far north, but I know who lives up there is Rachel. Our fearless leader Rachel lives there, and she'd be the one to ask about that. Rachel McDonald. So you want to reach out to her.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Do you have to
All right,
take,
ladies and gentlemen.
do you have to take any training to get the HIS certification in California?
No, it's just a background check, brother. It's just a background check. So there's no training, there's no test. So yeah, it's just all you type in HIS license California on Google, and you'll find the link, so you can go ahead and get on there. And you just pay a fee and pass a background check, and that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are already past the hour, and I just got to my office. So I will see you guys on tomorrow's training, and tonight, get your guests for tonight. And remember, those of you guys local to California, this Friday, 12 o'clock, lunch is on me for your guest. Get your guest to this Friday, 12 o'clock here in Downey, California. Have a good day, guys.
JC.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, I apologize. This is a little off the record. I'm
guys.
just kind of, I don't know if you got my
Thank you.
text. I don't know if you got my text messages, but what's the next step for us if you connect on a call? Or...
Yes. Go ahead and text me again, and I'll call you. I'll text you back after I get out of this meeting.
Absolutely. All right. Enjoy yourself. Y'all be safe.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Have a powerful day.
You.